Binomial has tried to introduce this question of criticality into the discourse, into the discussion. Because of what I heard that you've been doing, as you just said, over the last couple of years of introducing an approach to language teaching which is connected with the Common European Framework. So, what is also in brackets, I need to emphasise, because I think most of what I'll be saying is aimed at higher education where you are yourselves. But I shall actually use an example from upper secondary school where the students were pretty well advanced linguistically and I think intellectually. So I don't really see a big difference between university teaching and upper secondary teaching. I think there's no overlap there. So what I'm going to do is first of all talk briefly about criticality in what I usually call content courses, and then talk more about criticality and so on, intercultural competence in, let's call them language courses. And then refer to the Common European Framework and the question of connection with the Common European Framework, by which I suppose you're thinking of the different levels, but there is a bit more to the Common European Framework than that, is something that I'll try to deal with, but I don't think there are any easy answers there. But I'll try to deal with that, and in order to deal with that, I'll come to the final question about objectives and outcomes as a way of planning, if you like, to ensure that criticality, intercultural competence and so on is actually included in language courses. But I want to start with some research which is not mine, but which I think is really very good research, which was done at Southampton University. And you've got the reference there. They've got their own website. There have been publications in journals, but the book about this project is only just about to appear. But it's a project which took place some years ago, but has only really become published recently. But their research question was, as you can see there, do courses in modern foreign languages and social work develop criticality? Two things, modern foreign languages or foreign language teaching and social work. They decided that they wanted to look at the question of criticality in, if you like, a kind of traditional, pure academic subject, where you study language and literature for its own sake in a British university. You don't go to British university to study French in order to become a translator. You might later, but that's not the purpose. So they chose something which is, if you like, a pure academic subject, and then they also chose something which is a professional course at university, where a bachelor's course where the students are training to become social workers in the social work system. They were interested in criticality because the debate about what universities are for has been going on in Britain for some time, for 100 years or more, but it became a big question over the last 20 years, as everywhere else, where it has been more and more argued by politicians that education should, in a sense, serve the economy. Not just university, but also school-level education, but especially university. And if you like, the counter-argument to saying that we must train people for jobs in the economy is to say, well, universities can do that. They always did that. They always trained people in the past. They trained people for the ministry, for being what's the word in English? For being vicars, for being curates, for being priests in the church. That was always been one of the professional training, if you like. But medical training for doctors, lawyers, those have always been part of university work, and they are training for jobs. But then universities have also got this function, in many people's view, that they have a more general educational purpose, and that criticality, critical thinking, although the word criticality is better because critical thinking is associated with a specific kind of set of research. So let's use the word criticality, even though it's a bit of an unusual word. Criticality to cover this general educational purpose of higher education, and I think also secondary education. So what did they do? They said, okay, let's look at a pure academic subject like languages, French and Spanish, I think, were the languages being studied, and a professional training course like social work. And let us find out whether there is criticality present. I'm not going to go into the definitions of criticality just now, but they do have behind it the work of Ron Barnett, who is a philosopher of higher education. And what they did, as you can see there, is they said, okay, on the basis